abundance, and gratitude to all. I must send a warning to you before I press play on this. As I told you before, they don't even scratch the surface on what they did to us during slavery. They don't even, if they would actually tell you the truth and show you what they did from sun up to sundown, from moon up to moon down, 24 hours, 7 days a week on this Gregorian calendar and clock, of the brutal shit that they did to us, I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, we would literally snap the French toast out if they literally showed you what they were doing to slaves, doing to us. I'm telling you. So I want to warn you before I hit play on this. This is very graphic. You understand? And this is only one individual. And the last thing that I want to tell you, matter of fact, I'm gonna press play first.
Based on the number of verified accounts, Madame Mallory seemed to take a sick pleasure in torturing her slaves. She was actually a collector of torture devices, chains, and shackles. Multiple shapes and sizes were in her collection to ensure she could always quickly and efficiently incapacitate her victims. One of her torture devices was an iron collar with razor-sharp spikes all around the inside of the collar. And by clamping a small enough size around a person's neck, the spikes would dig into the skin with every breath.
What?
And the only way to avoid being killed by the piercing spikes was to hold your breath.
Oh my God.
And either way, once this collar was on you, it was a sure death sentence. Clamping on a larger size only meant that person could barely move and couldn't lay down without piercing their neck with the spikes. Iron masks that completely covered a person's face were used to prevent slaves from being able to eat it all. On a regular basis as punishment, Madame Mallory regularly beat and whipped her slaves until they were covered in bruises and blood. Some slaves were beaten almost to death before she would stop. She would tie the hands of a slave to wooden stakes and whip them, using a cat of nine tails, which is a torture device with multiple lashes tipped with sharp metal pieces. This punishment left the person bleeding and begging for mercy. Madame Mallory regularly sliced people open and removed their organs. She would break their bones over and over again. And each time they healed, she would break the same bone again. This is absolutely sick, but she would even force humans or animal feces into a slave's mouth, and then she would sew their lips shut. One woman even had multiple bones in her arms and legs broken more than once. Her limbs were twisted outward and the bones reset, making her look like a human crab. But she seemed to particularly hate the men. After chaining them up naked, she pulled their fingernails and toenails off one by one as they screamed in agony.
What?
She ripped away pieces of their skin, cut out their tongues, and even gouged out their eyes. As part of her torturous human experiments, Madame Mallory would use a hand tool to pierce through a skull. She would then widen the hole so the handle of a wooden spoon would fit inside, and then she would proceed to shove the handle through the hole and stir the brains like a boiling cauldron. Or, even worse, she'd push a hot fireplace poker through the hole. What the fuck? And she liked to sexually torture them as well. As the men hung naked from the ceiling, she would slice pieces off of their genitals bit by bit, before slicing them away altogether, just completely removing the genitals, while the slaves are alive.
And some of y'all got the caucasity, the unmitigated gall, the mayonnaise mafia mouths to tell us to get over it when you are the very definition of savagery, the wickedness of white people. And I mean, how about the wickedness of white people in their own words? You want to learn more, you already know what to do.
Text white woman to my number and
don't argue with me, argue with your mama.